truth don't hide, it just waits for a face, Big footprints in a pine-slick path, Bob Lazar files with a government laugh. Court dates lost in a sea of red tape. We ain't 10-4, we just stay awake. True crime tales in a borrowed voice. We speak for the silence, not by choice. Got boots on the dirt and eyes on the skies, digging up stories they hoped would die. Mic, truth, and thunder, we don't back down. With a Bible in the glove box and boots on the ground. Aliens, lies, and backroom deals. We break that silence, 'cause the soul feels real. Military broadcast, midnight run, teaching vets how to speak what the war's done. From trigger pulls to microphone stands, from combat zones to healing hands. Public records, missing names, unsealed files, classified games. We chase what's buried, not what trends, and we pray for light at the truth's deep end. Mic, truth, and thunder, we don't back down. With a Bible in the glove box and boots on the ground. Aliens, lies, and backroom deals. We break that silence, 'cause the soul feels real. Some chase fame, we chase the facts. Some fold quick, we read the tracks. It ain't paranoia if it's always been there, and we ain't scared to lay it bare. Into the storm. We ain't perfect, but we were made for this form.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber.
I'm Alora, and this is Oates.
And we have Millennial joining us tonight.
Hey, everybody.
So thank you all for being here. It's good to see Sam and Joy and let's see, Teffy.
Jelly.
I accidentally put Taffy in there. Let's see. I think, Jelly. And yeah, so nice to see everybody. Thank you for joining us.
And the people hiding in the background are on replay.
Yes. Thank you for joining us all. And today I'm actually in charge of Military Broadcast Radio.
Oh, yeah. Joel's on a cruise?
Yeah, Joel's on a cruise. Terry's on a cruise. So it's just me. So
Nice.
I'm holding the fort down. We'll see what happens this week.
I think you're doing just fine, I'm sure.
But yeah, so we're going to actually get into a very heavy topic. We're going to be talking about the Duggars. Hopefully everybody knows who those people are. Hey, Ivana, or
Ivana?
Hey, Ivana.
Ivana. Yeah, I'm terrible at names, guys. But yeah, so we're going to get into that topic we were going to listen to Amy Duggar's book, or Amy King's book, but we're going to read it instead, just in case there's any copyright strikes or anything like that.
But to anybody that is tuning in, the Duggars are from 19 Kids and Counting, the TLC show, just in case it's something you just wanted to watch us and you don't know what's really going on. They were in a organization called the IBLP, which is kind of almost like, I would say, similar to an offshoot of like very religious Baptist or maybe even Pentecostal kind of leanings. And their oldest son got arrested for CSAM a number of years ago. And I think he's supposed to be in jail for about 12 years. And he takes no responsibility for it whatsoever. And we're just going to read through his cousin Amy's book.
Yeah.
And I got it on the Kindle. So
yeah. And the reason why I brought it to this channel is because Mary Duggar, Jim Bob Duggar's mother was my Sunday school teacher from, let's see, I want to say 5th grade to the 6th grade.
Joy, so she is Jim Bob's mother, so the father in the show.
Yeah.
She's the grandma.
Yeah.
The grandma.
So if you see the grandma on the show, that's Mary.
Grandma Duggar.
Yeah, Grandma Duggar is Mary. And so she was my Sunday school teacher from the 5th grade till I was 16 in the 9th grade. So
also, Joy, you missed you missed our special guest last week.
Oh yeah, you
Go watch
did.
the replay. We were on with Tony.
Yes.
Sorry.
I just want to say, if it's okay, real quick about the Duggars. From what I understand, as far as their theology, they're kind of like a charismatic Baptist Pentecostal-ish, but then their dress standards are very similar to United Pentecostal holiness oneness dress standards, almost
Mhm.
exactly the same. However, it's not that common for Pentecostals to get into the quiverful movement, which is what I understand. Regardless of their theology, they got into a separate theological movement of the quiverful movement, which focuses on that one scripture that says something like, God will give you a quiver full of arrows. And they take that to mean you should have as many children as possible, and it gives you power.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny enough, like almost all the things that they teach and they follow are completely aligned with the quiverful movement, but for some reason they actually deny the quiverful movement and say that they have nothing to
Gotcha,
do
yeah.
with them, which I thought was odd.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I
they
know.
do everything, like you said, they do everything and espouse all of the tenets of it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because maybe the IBLP, which is pretty much defunct at this point, but I think they teach a lot of the same stuff, so they kind of go along with that. But I agree with what you're saying. I've watched a lot of different like video
Yeah.
essays and videos on the quiverful movement, and it's 100% the same. We even have somebody that we know that was a member of the quiverful movement, and after
Yeah, I know
moving away from
several.
them and not seeing them for a while, hearing some of the stuff they were up to was kind of
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
crazy,
Oof.
insane. So
Okay, so misbehaving. Yes. Mary Duggar was my Sunday school teacher. I was part of the bus ministry. My parents didn't go to church, so I would be picked up by Joe Dorman, who was the bus driver of the of the church bus, and he would come pick me up every Sunday, and I would go to church, and Mary would be the women's Sunday school or the girls' Sunday school teacher. So 5th grade to 6th grade, or not 6th grade, 5th grade to 9th grade is how long Mary was my actual teacher. And it got to the point where in the church it was so divided, like the bus ministry versus the rest of the church, that it was just a weird dynamic to where are you going to try?
sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt. I just from the way that you've described it, obviously I wasn't even a thought back then, but it seems like they definitely divided you almost like along a poverty line. It's almost like, okay, these are the kids that are privileged and that
Yeah.
are a part of the church, their family members are Christian, stuff like that. And it almost seems like you guys were kind of othered. These people don't have as much money, their family isn't religious, so we still care about them, but we can't put you with the rest of our kids, or else you might be a bad influence, or whatever the thought process might be. Initially, I always thought it was so cool. I was like, oh my God, they knew the Duggars. And I would get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I would watch like the Duggar show on TLC when I was like a kid. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But after growing up and hearing what you said, I remember maybe like a couple years ago, I was like, wait, repeat that back again. And then it all just kind of clicked. And I was like, oh, you were like,
I was separated,
separated.
completely from the rest of the church. But the interesting thing with me though is that, okay, so I say I was separated, but my stepmother's ex-husband was also a deacon at the church or something like that. And so he was a part of the church. So he would take me with my stepsister to church on Sunday night. And so then I would be able to be a part of the rest of the church on Wednesday nights and Sunday nights. So I go like Wednesday nights and Sunday nights.
But you were definitely an exception to the rule.
I was an exception because I had somebody pick me up or my parents would drop me off at the church. Whereas the other kids, they only were able to come on Sunday mornings because somebody came and picked them up. So I got to do all of the fun stuff with, it was a mega church, basically. I mean, it was the biggest church in Arkansas at that time. And it was Springdale Baptist Church. I think that our First Baptist Church of Springdale, I think is what it was.
But it's something else now, correct?
Pinnacle Hills or something like that. Yeah. And so Mary was my teacher, and it got to a point where I became really embarrassed about getting on the school bus or the church bus to go home from church because I got to know all of the other kids that went to church.
Which kind of further shows how other they made you guys.
Yeah, they made me feel other. They made me feel embarrassed. And so I got to a point where I started asking Mary to take me home instead of going on the church bus. So Mary would actually come, or she would actually wait for me, and or I'd have to wait for her depending on what was going on, and she would take me home. And one of the times that happened, she's like, "Oh, we've got to go stop by my son's house. It'll be real quick." And so I was like, "Okay." So we get in her big blue van. It had a locomotive on the side. I can't remember what the name of the van was or whatever, or what kind it was, but it was big and blue. And we pull out of the church parking lot, we make a left and directly go right into the next driveway. And I'm like, okay. And it was this little bitty teeny tiny house right next door to the church. And she parks and she's like, okay, this is what I remember. Sometimes I can remember a little bit more, but at this moment, here's what I remember is that she basically turned to me and she's like, "Now, I don't really agree with the teachings of my family. I don't agree in what they believe." And then she also said something about, "And I don't like the fact that they keep having children." That was like a big concern to her. I remember because I was 16 at this time.
That was only a few children in.
Yeah,
Well,
it was in 95.
Oh, sorry. I've never watched an episode of the Duggars show because whenever I saw the advertisements for it, my stomach just dropped. Because that I recognized that as basically what I ran away from. I mean, I think pretty much anyone watching my channel knows, who've watched me for a long time, that I ran off from home at an early age to get away from a hardcore religion like that, where, I was homeschooled and forced to dress very similar to Amish. And so whenever I saw the Duggars being platformed like that, I was just like, oh, this is not good. This does not need to be mainstream. This does not need to be glorified. It's kind of like seeing Gypsy Rose Blanchard being platformed and glorified is how I felt seeing the Duggars being platformed and glorified like that. I was like, oh, hell no.
I bet you would, because I mean, those of you who don't know, she's had a lot of religious trauma, and you can go check her channel out to see more about that. But yeah, it's very concerning. So when I went into their house, because she actually brought me into their house to meet them, this was in 95. I don't know how many children they have. I said at one time it was like 12. That's just how it felt, because there were so many kids. And I just remember they lined up, and it was all from oldest to youngest, and some of them were carrying or holding babies or whatever. And I just remember getting a pit in my stomach because I experienced something like that once before when I was a kid, younger, probably around 9 or 10. I was staying at somebody's house, and they had a bunch of kids, and everything was all grand and fine. And then something happened, And the dad got upset and lined all of the kids up from oldest to youngest and would make them stand in line to get whooped. They would,
Not the Duggars.
yeah. And so it felt like that. That's the kind of like feeling I got. It just automatically reminded me of that. So I got uneasy, but I remember them being nice. I don't remember a whole lot about it except for that there were like 2 refrigerators, maybe 2 stoves, things like that. And they were talking about, doing a lot of laundry and stuff like that for kids. I just remember it being an extremely small house and a lot of people in it. And so that's my experience with the Duggars. That's as far as it went.
And they also would invite like people for extended periods of time to come stay with them on top of them already not having enough room for the children that they already had.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they'd have strange adult men just living there in the living room for
people I knew back in the day, like 20, 30 years ago. Back in the day, people I knew that were into that movement because I knew them proximately due to the religion that I ran off from. They were like that too. They always had random people staying with them. It was odd.
Yeah.
It's a mission. We're helping out others. We're spreading the gospel. And that's also what they would call I think they even talk about it a little bit in the book from excerpts I've heard of. But they're like, this is our mission. This is how we get things out to the world by being on this TV show. And I think Amy even kind of references like a time when she wasn't being appropriately paid for some things that she had to actually take out of her own pocket. And he's like, well, this is just a ministry, it's just the things that we do as Christians to, honor God and stuff like that. And, the more you look into everything they were doing behind the scenes, even if you don't want to get into the child neglect of it all and abuse of it all, it's not of God or the God that, that they claim to serve. You know what I mean?
I agree. I completely agree with that.
And I empathize with a lot of the children growing up the way they did. However, they're adults now, and a lot of them, not in the way that Josh manifested repeating patterns, but a lot of them seem to be repeating a lot of the same patterns or allowing a lot of the same things to go on, especially in the way that they treat women in that religion. It's just concerning. And I'm waiting until somebody really goes rogue. I mean, like Jill got her nose pierced. She wears shorts, but she's still very in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it takes a little bit of time to climb out of that and figure out.
I'm very curious as to like what will come of these people in the future. I hope nothing but the best for all of them. However, I'm waiting for someone to just kind of like really break free. And I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
Very interesting.
Kung Fu Panda.
I was just thinking that statistically, at least one of them. But on top of that, well, I'm not going to get into allegations, but there is one particular person that had like a Facebook account that was like found, and it got shut down real quick, and he got married off real quick.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we're probably going to find out and be horrified by. But I don't know. You want to get into it, Laura, and start reading for us?
Yeah. Sound good to everyone? Yeah. So I got my cute little Kindle. It's got like little plants and shit. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, where did it go? So the name of the book. Oh, why is my Kindle glitching out? It's called Holy Disruptor by Amy Duggar King. She had to put Duggar in there so people knew who she was.
I think I need to change the thumbnail because I think
the title.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll do something like that. But anyway, here's the cover of the book, Holy Disruptor. Shattering the shiny facade by getting louder with the truth. Okay.
I haven't looked at this book at all.
I haven't either. I'm going through the table of contents. Okay. So this section, I don't think it's a chapter, but it's probably like the foreword. And it's the rules, Institute in Basic Life Principles, which is the IBLP that I previously referenced. At the core of the IBLP system, the system my Uncle Jim Bob and Aunt Michelle followed religiously, is the idea that you can achieve godliness by following a specific set of rules. Rules that are artificial and twisted to seem like biblical truths, when in reality they are not. In the system, the rules are clearly spelled out, the consequences are severe, and utter submission is expected. IBLP, Master Life Plan. The wife must submit to the husband and refrain from challenging him. There is a lot of talk about the importance of authority in the home, but as though God's idea of authority got lost in translation. Take the concept of submission. Yes, the Bible talks about wives submitting to their husbands, Ephesians 5:22. But IBLP turns that into something unrecognizable, pushing women into a corner where their voices are silenced, their needs are ignored, their existence is reduced to inferior status. The one thing to honor your husband, it's another thing to be treated like a robot who must follow orders without question. IBLP's interpretation completely distorts biblical marriage, creating a dynamic where men are in charge and no one can challenge them. In fact, if a man decides that his family needs to follow the principles, which are often his own, there is no accountability. Whatever he says goes, end of story. But what happens if these men abuse their power? Who holds them accountable? No one. There's a huge gap in responsibility, and it's this vacuum that often leads to manipulation and abuse. Women may not pursue independence or self-reliance. IBLP's control over women goes beyond marriage, discouraging them from seeking independence or help without their husband's permission. A wife is expected to never take matters into her own hands, financially or otherwise. Seeking counseling or guidance from anyone outside of IBLP is viewed as an act of rebellion unless her husband permits it. A woman's autonomy is essentially erased while her husband is granted absolute control. Women must be seen and not heard, and definitely not be in charge. There are not only issues with how IBLP treats children, but also there are severe problems with how IBLP treats women. The teachings promote the idea that women are there to be seen but not heard. They're meant to be submissive to their husbands, take care of the house, raise as many children as possible. IBLP members are raised to believe that if a woman uses birth control, she is not being totally dedicated to the Lord, which could lead to miscarriages.
That's crazy.
No form of birth control whatsoever is allowed. Yes, children are a gift from God, Psalm 127:3, but the pressure to constantly have babies and multiply can feel more like an assembly line than a gift. Women's voices are silenced under the guise of being godly, but guess what? God gave women voices too. Proverbs 31:26. He didn't give them a voice only to have them sit quietly in the corner while the men made all the decisions. Women are not a cookie cutter mold, and they're not designed to fit one narrow purpose. We are individuals, each with our own callings and gifts. Trying to force every woman into the same box is not only harmful, but it goes against what God intended all along. A husband has full access to his wife's body, no questions asked. Wives may not resist or be indifferent. In other words, a wife's body is her husband's property, and her needs or boundaries are considered secondary or irrelevant. This view of marriage strips away the concept of mutual respect and love, turning it into a one-sided relationship where the husband's desires take priority. This is in direct contrast to the Bible's teaching that husbands and wives should love and honor each other sacrificially, Ephesians 5:25-33. The idea of a wife as property is dehumanizing, yet the IBLP clings to it as part of their definition of a godly submission. Higher education for women is strongly discouraged. Ladies, keep it at home. The philosophy here is that a woman's primary role is to be a wife, mother, and homemaker, and anything beyond that is seen as unnecessary, even harmful. Why study to become a doctor, engineer, or even a teacher when your true calling is already mapped out for you: cleaning, cooking, and child rearing? The IBLP often pushes the idea that a woman's mind should stay focused on God's design for her, defined as serving her family. They even imply that education might corrupt her by exposing her to worldly ideas, as if knowledge itself is dangerous. The result? Many IBLP women are left to feeling unprepared and limited, unable to pursue personal dreams, passions, or talents that fall outside of the IBLP's interpretation of biblical womanhood. The Bible, in fact, praises wisdom and knowledge, Proverbs 1:7, 4:5-7, and even highlights women in active, valuable roles like Deborah the judge, Judges 4-5, or Lydia the businesswoman, Acts 16:14-15. Nothing in Scripture says women shouldn't be educated. In fact, being wise, resourceful, and knowledgeable helps them serve others better. Women are expected to nurture a gentle and quiet spirit based on a narrow reading of 1 Peter 3:4. This IBLP belief implies that women should always be soft-spoken, gentle, and submissive with little room for boldness or individuality. But here's a twist. While being meek and quiet on the inside, wives are simultaneously expected to strive for physical beauty to keep their husband's attention. This creates a contradictory standard. Women are supposed to be silent and invisible in personality, yet stunning and always present. It creates constant pressure to be perfect on the outside while staying silent and compliant on the inside. This approach contradicts Proverbs 31, which celebrates a wife's independence, business skills, and resourcefulness. God never intended for a woman's identity to be smothered by her husband's authority. Instead, he created her to be a partner, not a possession. The Bible teaches that a husband will love his wife as Christ loves the church, selflessly. Ephesians 5:25. But IBLP makes it clear that a husband can be as selfish as he wants. Women must not show bare shoulders, knees, or collarbones, for to do so is scandalous. Let's talk about modesty standards. They're intense. The Bible does not encourage modesty. Oh, I'm sorry. The Bible does encourage modesty.
I was about to say.
My bad. 1 Timothy 2:9. But IBLP takes up 1,000 notches. Shoulders, collarbones, and knees are seen as so scandalous that they must always remain hidden. Think of it as the modesty Olympics. Long skirts, don't even think about a slit. Those must be sewn up immediately. Blouses
Can I
up
pause
to
you
your
for a
neck.
minute?
Yes.
I had a friend who left the IBLP, and she told me that in church one time she was chastised because she was new there and she had sleeves that were above the elbow. And she asked them what could possibly be sensual about the elbow. And this is pretty normal. The Christian school I went to, sleeves had to be below the elbow. It had to always be 3/4 length sleeves or longer.
Wow.
And she was told that when the arm is folded, that the fold simulates cleavage. Therefore, the
Yeah.
elbow needs to be covered.
No way. That's wild.
You want to see my sexy, sexy elbow? No, that's insane. That's actually really sad.
You got to be pretty deprived to be looking at a folded arm cleavage and on the inside of an elbow and think that that looks like boobs.
This is completely unrelated, but it just made me think of this one time when I was in like high school and some guy wanted me to send him like a picture. So I took my bra and I put it like kind of around my knee and I made it look like like my leg was cleavage. So fun stories there. Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, there's a little bit left of this like little forward or whatever that talks about women. But I'm starting to see as I'm reading a little bit of parallels with a lot of the stuff that's being preached, not only by the IBLP, but with a lot of the people that are in power nowadays. And not to make it any certain type of live stream, but this religious oppression, honestly, especially of women, is seeming to be a very common theme.
Yeah.
And as you guys can tell, this is obviously written by somebody who's a Christian. If you don't believe in the Bible's teachings, that's completely up to you. So we're just reading, her perspective on here. But a lot of the stuff that Christian nationalists or, people that just claim to be Christian isn't even biblical.
I would
People
agree
come
with
up
that.
with their own rules just to control and oppress women, minorities, children, all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in ministry for 25 years and I've seen a lot, but I've never, ever been a part of anything that would do that, that would silence women and make them feel like they're not even human, basically. I mean, that's really what it feels like. It's like they have no thoughts, no ability to think on their own or do anything useful, is what
Yeah.
it sounds like they're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm reading Ivana's comment, and she says, all the responsibilities are on women. It's ridiculous. Like, men have no control of themselves.
Mhm.
So if you look, and we're going to read some of it in this book, it shows that potentially a lot of the men that are in this family, and I'm sure in a lot of other families as
Mhm.
well, they don't have any desire to control themselves, and they just, yeah, like it's always the women's fault. You showed too much skin, so it's your fault that I did this X, Y, and Z to you. It's like Millennial said, you see the crack of an arm.
Yeah.
Very sexy right there. That's insane. That's insane.
It's very
I've
insane.
never heard that before, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a middle school boy that just found out what that was for the first time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not
Reminded me, there's a South Park episode where the older kids wanted boob pictures and they put a necklace over Cartman's butt crack and took pictures, kind of like what you were saying, Alora, with your knee. And all the older kids were like, oh, these are the sweetest boobs. But that's kind of what the elbow crack thing from the church reminds me of. They're like,
Yeah.
that could be like boobs.
so I probably shouldn't share this, but I'm just going to say somebody that is very near and dear and close to my heart that I love with my whole heart. They were telling me about when they were over in, like, I don't remember if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, but it was one of those times. And they had not seen women without being fully covered in so long that when them and everybody else in the airport were at the airport and they were seeing women and they could see ankles for the first time in a while, they're like, so maybe it's a similar concept.
They get the Victorian men all of a sudden.
Yeah. They're like, ooh, those ankles. So that
Have you
was
guys
shared with me,
ever
and it's like,
have you all ever saw Bernadette Banner on YouTube? She has a historical sewing channel.
no, that sounds so cool. Historical sewing.
No?
Yes, she does historical sewing, and it's really, really cool. And at one point, she decided to do an experiment. She does Edwardian era as kind of her specialty.
Mhm.
She decided to do an experiment and create an OnlyFans account that was just ankle pics, Victorian style ankle pics,
I love
and see how many subscribers she would get. And she donated all the subscriber money to charity and did it for like a month. And yeah, she got quite a bit of money. Pink Bug
you know
knows
what?
about her.
I love that.
I do too. You had
I
an
thought it was
idea
so cool.
for fans, just
Oh,
uploading
yeah.
fans.
Yeah, I literally created an OnlyFans account and I was like, I'm just gonna upload. I'm gonna go like to Home Depot or Lowe's or something and just take a picture of all the fans in the lighting
Oh,
department.
guys, you know what's funny? I'm actually in a vintage fan collector group, and they're pretty pissed about everyone mistaking OnlyFans.
That's hilarious.
They talk about their fans.
I love that so much. I never did anything with it, but it was an idea. It was an idea. But I like her showing her ankles and getting some money for it. Because I mean,
Oh, it's so cool.
people
I'll have to find that video and send it to you.
Yeah.
do it, please. Yeah, people will pay for anything. I've had people pay to see my ankles. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
so there's a couple more things that they say about women. If it's okay with you guys, I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep
Yeah,
on
go ahead.
going for a little
Yeah.
bit and then we'll kind of reconvene and talk about the rest. Women must not show bare shoulders, knees, or collarbones, for to do so is scandalous. Let's talk about modesty standards. They're intense. The Bible does not encourage modesty, 1 Timothy 2:9, but the IBLP takes it up 1,000 notches. Shoulders, collarbones, and knees are seen as so scandalous that they must always remain hidden. Think of it as the modesty Olympics. Long skirts, they don't even think about a slit. This must be sewn up immediately. Blouses up to your neck, sleeves over your shoulders. Don't even dream of wearing pants if you're a female. Wearing blue jeans blurs the line of femininity, and no woman should ever want to get close to that line. And while modesty can be beautiful, in IBLP it becomes an impossible game where individuality gets stamped out entirely. There is no room for personal expression, no freedom to wear what feels good to you. Instead, you must blend in with other IBLP families in a sea of denim skirts and long sleeve blouses. Being modest shouldn't mean becoming a carbon copy of everyone else, yet that's exactly what happens. Women and men must not wear black clothing because it is sinful. Here's the part that will make you want to roll your eyes so hard that they might get stuck. In IBLP, you're not allowed to wear black clothing because it's too worldly and too rebellious. I mean, really? Black? The color that represents mourning and humility? A color that is classy and timeless? But nope, apparently it's sinful to wear it. You may as well be wearing a neon sign that reads, "I'm a rebellious sinner if you dare to sport anything black."
I had no idea.
And this is where the absurdity of the IBLP hits a new high. They take small, insignificant things like the color of your clothes and turn them into tests of your holiness. What the Bible actually teaches is that we are not defined by what we wear, but by the love of Christ that shines through us. 1 Samuel 16:7. But IBLP creates a culture where people are judged by these ridiculous standards, making them feel guilty over things that have nothing to do with salvation. It teaches that if we ever want to express ourselves in a way that doesn't perfectly align with their rules, it means that we have a heart issue. Oh, I've heard Dad say that before. Sorry. A heart issue. Like we're all supposed to be cut from the same cloth. But that's not how God designed us to live. He created us uniquely with different gifts, personalities, and callings, not to be silenced or squeezed into someone else's mold. Women and men must avoid tattoos and piercings. Tattoos are viewed as sinful based on scriptures that emphasize honoring the body as God's temple. Leviticus 12:18 warns against marking the body, which the IBLP interprets as maintaining purity and avoiding worldly customs. I'm screwed. 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20 urges believers to honor God with their bodies, and Romans 12:1-2 advises against conformity to worldly practices. Tattoos, viewed as a part of secular culture, are seen as disrespectful to God's creation and a violation of biblical principles on purity and reverence. For women in IBLP, piercing their ears is seen as a mark of bondage to the world.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, it symbolizes slavery. But isn't it strange that this idea has no biblical backing? In fact, Exodus 21:6 references ear piercings as a mark of devotion. While we don't live under the Old Testament law anymore, Romans 6:14, it's funny to think that something like an ear piercing, which is a simple and personal choice for many, would be twisted into a mark of disobedience. If anything, the New Testament reminds us that our freedom is found in Christ, not outward rules or appearances, Galatians 5:1. Women must keep their hair long, no cutting allowed. For women, it's all about the length. You need to keep it long. It's seen as a covering and a mark of femininity, and there's an emphasis on never cutting it. Now, long hair can be beautiful, sure, but it's hardly a biblical requirement. 1 Corinthians 1:1, or maybe it's 11, does mention that a woman's hair is given to her for covering, but that's more about cultural respect than a hard and fast rule. And let's remember, we're not bound by every Old Testament or cultural standard. God doesn't judge us by the length of our hair, but by the sincerity of our hearts. 1 Samuel 16:7. Children are their father's property, like goods to be owned and controlled. This mentality is woven into everything and factors into the way children are raised. The husband and father is the absolute authority, with power to impose any rule or command, no questions asked. IBLP's extreme standards for modesty, abstinence, and submission create a superficial holiness that is more about control than faith. It is a system that values obedience to man-made rules over a personal, genuine relationship with God. In Jesus' time, the Pharisees were rebuked for focusing on outward appearance while ignoring inner transformation. Matthew 23:27-28. Yeah, IBLP mirrors that same approach, emphasizing rules that ultimately limit rather than liberate God's people. This ownership mentality has zero biblical basis. In fact, the Bible teaches that we are all created in God's image, Genesis 1:27. When you strip away the individuality, enforce fear-based obedience, and treat wives and children as property, you end up with a framework that promotes legalism, not love. The system does not cultivate true spiritual growth. It cultivates conformity and compliance, and it opens up avenues for abuse. Children must obey out of fear or the or else threat. One of the most manipulative aspects of IBLP is its use of fear to control behavior. Parents are told. Sorry. Sorry, I took a little drink. My bad. Parents are told to warn their children that if they don't obey the IBLP's principles, something terrible might happen to them, maybe a car accident, a disease, or other punishments from God. This fear-based approach is not only harmful, but it directly contradicts the message of grace and freedom that we find in the Bible. Scripture says that God's kindness leads to repentance, Romans 2:4, not the fear of punishment. Yet, IBLP twists this truth, making God out to be a harsh judge, waiting to smite anyone who steps out of line. It's spiritual manipulation, plain and simple. In what seems to be an odd paradox, children are left unsupervised to figure things out on their own. IBLP teaches that God will watch over and protect children, and yet I've witnessed firsthand how this belief can lead to neglectful practices. There's a surprising lack of hands-on parenting. I've seen toddlers wandering alone in wide open fields, almost like cattle. There's a story there too. There seems to be the mindset that Jesus will predict their children. So there's little emphasis, or protect their children. I'm sorry. So there's little emphasis on being watchful or present as a parent. I've seen kids in the IBLP environments jump on car hoods like monkeys, wander away acres away without anyone noticing anything, and even get dangerously close to sticking their little hands into blades of an air conditioner. There's poison ivy and snakes, so many risks, and yet the kids are just left to roam free. While it's great to let children explore and have adventures, there has to be a balance. You still have to protect them. But from what I've seen, the belief that Jesus will watch over them leads to parents failing to guard and defend them. It's not just a laid-back parenting style, it's a hands-off approach that overlooks basic safety.
I would agree with that.
Another serious concern has to do with what happens when a child experienced abuse or trauma that has never been addressed or healed. The pain doesn't just disappear. It often gets acted out, sometimes upon another innocent child.
Mm-hmm.
There is a real danger in letting kids run wild without guidance or supervision. When no one is watching, they are denied protection, not just from wild animals, but also from kids that can be carrying deep, unhealed wounds of their own. And that kind of harm is just as real, if not more so.
I just wanted to say,
I have some thoughts there too.
Yeah, I mean, my husband and I were the ones who, when we would go to church outings or go to parties or whatever with anybody from church, we were always the one that was watching after the kids because everybody else would just let their kids go and do whatever. And I mean, we were in some precarious environments, Florida, gators, all kinds of stuff.
Well, another thing that comes to
And
mind.
that part never seemed weird to me because I grew up in the Ozarks. I mean, we just roam the hills all the time. So
Yeah, I understand
You
that
know,
to a
and-
degree, but
that part didn't feel like a religious thing to me. That's just how we all were.
It
yeah,
also might be a product of the time
Yeah.
because it seems like people maybe 10, 15, 20 years before I was born had a lot less supervision than
yeah.
kids nowadays. You know what I mean?
most of
But
them.
now
Gen
kids
X is
nowadays don't have
generally
these-
very proud of that. No one knew where the hell we were drinking out of water hoses, you know.
Yeah,
I did that too. But
Oh, me
another thing
too,
that
but yeah.
another thing that came to mind is one of the most prevalent and also unreported elements of SA is COCSA, which is child on child. And it's something that I have experienced personally on more than one occasion.
Mhm.
And while I don't hold anything against anybody, now, I think it's just a product of the time and probably the things that they also went through. But it seems like a lot of that is very prevalent in the IBLP, but it's also very prevalent everywhere.
Mhm.
And
it's not talked about.
It's not talked about. And it can be very harmful to have any kind of experience of that nature, even if it's just down to watching something on the internet. Not to be like save the children or anything, but it can be very detrimental to the way that you process things like that in the future. You can deal with hypersexuality at a young age, which I also, dealt with hypersexuality at a young age, and that was detrimental to my development in a lot of ways. And I'm fine now, but you know what I mean? Like I just think about the things that I went through or the things that I experienced and how different life could be. And you guys were on my butt. You guys were always paying attention.
We were always watching.
And still, so I can only imagine the people that weren't, being paid attention to all the time. And I'm okay. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened that I either happened to me or people that I knew. And it was just, I even brought it up to he was the children's minister at the time, but now he's an elder. No, now he's, I don't know what he is, but the person that got in trouble for something else that he did in church. Yeah. I brought it up to him and I got actually ostracized.
I forgot about that.
I got taken away from people. You're not supposed to talk about that at church. Okay, well, why are you letting them hang out with everybody else, but I have to go over here and do this stuff on my own? So it's very covered up in a lot of situations. Very sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if anybody's just joining, like Bean or Shorty Pie, we are not listening. Sorry, we're not listening to the audiobook. We are reading it. I thought I heard you say something.
Sorry, it's kind of hard to hear you.
Are you talking to me? It's lagging. You're pausing for me a bit.
Sorry.
Okay.
Anyone in the audience, are we lagging a little bit for y'all too? Also, can you guys hear Millennial? Alora voice says Alora can deliver the worst message and still laugh. What is that?
Trauma.
Because, well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, there's certain things that affect me more than others, obviously, but like I'm blessed to where I don't feel super affected by things, at least consciously, maybe subconsciously in ways. But life goes on. Not unfortunately, fortunately. You gotta go through it,
Thank you guys for letting us know there's no lag. Thanks.
There's no lag.
It might be just on my end. It might actually be my internet or something.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries. You're frozen right now, Laura. Oh my god.
Oh, we are.
Well, just for me, apparently.
Okay, good. Okay.
But it's all right. I'm gonna get into a little bit more of this and see how much I can get in. Okay. Of course, every time I start to read out something, like my allergies go crazy, and
we think she's allergic to oats.
I think I'm allergic to oats, but I'm gonna deal with it. I love him. So
well, my husband is allergic to cats, and we have 3 because he loves them and wants them and brings them home and is willing to take allergy medicine all the time.
Yeah, didn't you guys just recently adopt a new cat that he found in the wild?
Yeah, little Johnny Helldiver. Well, he was living underneath my husband's office at his work, and then a dog that is this is not the dog's fault. The dog is kept by a house that appears to be a drug house, and they keep them hungry and kind of angry. They might hop them up on something, but the dog come over and killed all the cats in the night, including his mom and his other siblings. And so he brought the one kitten left home.
Oh,
that's how we got little Johnny. Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know what they're referencing with Dr. Phil, we had a fun Dr. Phil trivia night. So you guys will have to go Oh, actually, it's under membership now. I had to put it under membership because of somebody. My bad.
Somebody was making threats.
Sorry, I ran away. My
Yeah.
allergies are intense. Okay. Yeah, no, I get that. I won't give up on oats. I guess we don't have cats, but I'm probably allergic to them too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Yeah, when I was cat sitting for some really good friends of mine the other day because they went to Hawaii to go get married, and and yeah, my allergies were going crazy. I couldn't stay there very long. Okay. Sorry if I end up accidentally repeating a little section like I did before.
All right.
Okay. Children must instantly obey and are not allowed to think for themselves. One of the most troubling rules IBLP teaches is the emphasis on instant obedience. Children should be programmed to obey. This concept teaches that children must obey their parents immediately, no questions, no delays, no thought. Just do it the second you're told. It's not about obedience, it's about control. That's all well and good, right? Except for the fact that this doesn't give children any space to think for themselves, process emotions, or even question their parents' decisions. If you can't think for yourself, how can you truly learn to obey wisely? This isn't the way that God designed children to learn, especially when it comes to issues like discipline and respect. God doesn't want us to be robots who simply carry out orders. He wants us to understand right from wrong, grow in wisdom, and develop a personal relationship with Him. Instant obedience doesn't allow any of that. Yet every one of my 19 cousins were pros at it. Children are to follow the programmed life, homeschooled, isolated, and uninformed. Kids don't even think about having worldly interactions. IBLP encourages strict homeschooling, and while that type of education in itself isn't bad, the problem is that the curriculum is created by IBLP and is designed to program a child, not educate them, which I have a lot of issues with homeschooling in general because a lot of times, even if it's not in a religious aspect, or maybe it is and it's just a different kind of religious aspect, I feel like you're really depriving a child of a lot. I don't feel like you guys did that to me. It was kind of a different situation, but I'd say a good 80 to 90% of homeschooling situations seem to be kind of bordering on the toxic indoctrination level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have mixed feelings about my own homeschooling because it was very extremely indoctrinating. At the same time, I like the weirdo that I am now. So
I like the weirdo I am too.
I like the weirdo that both of you guys are, and I like
Thank you.
myself. But yeah,
Thanks,
but I also
EJB.
experienced a lot of indoctrination in the schools that you put me in as a child.
Yeah.
With like a Becca programming, just different things.
We did Abeka and we did Sunlight.
Not focused on
Yeah.
actual historical accuracy. A lot of
ACE
erasure.
paces.
I'm sorry.
ACE paces. Did you ever do those?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
There's a Bible verse every couple of days. That
Oh,
was
I
my
did.
curriculum for a while.
I
Well,
did memorize Bible verses
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Thank you, Kung Fu. I like being a great weirdo.
Yeah. Hey, for all the religious and or life trauma that we've endured, we've become the people that we are today.
Mhm.
But the reason why we speak out against it is so that we can try to amend the things that other people go through and hopefully try and change and make things better. But I'm not feeling super hopeful with the way that the country's going.
Thank you, Cherokee
sweet
girl.
to
That was
hear,
very
girl.
kind. Very kind of you. And Cherokee girl has been keeping count of all of the parent unalivers for us. So I think we're
Nice.
at like 28 or 29 since Gypsy's conviction.
In the
Oh my
US
God.
or
Yeah, in the US, I believe. Yeah. We are moving backwards as a country in
I
a lot of
couldn't agree
ways.
more. Without getting too whatever, I'm just going to say that our differences make us stronger, make more friends that have different upbringings than you. And you know, we're a country built by immigrants for immigrants. We are all beautiful despite our different religious beliefs, and there's no reason to for all of us to feel like we have to try and conform to one thing.
Okay, 28 to 29 just in 2024. Okay.
That's
Wow, that's even
batshit
worse.
insane.
That's even worse.
Dun dun dun.
Wow.
That was kind of rude. But yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me try to figure out where I left off just a second ago.
Can you guys hear a lot of paper noises? Do I need to mute?
No, I can't. I can barely hear.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If we talk over you, it's not because we're trying to. It's just sometimes we can't hear you, right?
No, you're not
how
talking
loud you
over
are
me.
in
I'm
our-
just, rolling a little something and want to make sure there wasn't a lot of paper noises.
No, can't hear it.
Have fun with it. No worries whatsoever. Okay. So the problem isn't okay. IBLP encourages strict homeschooling, and while the type of education in itself isn't bad, the problem is that the curriculum is created by IBLP and it is designed to program a child, not educate them. The curriculum is severely limited and lacks any real education on body safety, boundaries, or understanding abuse or what sexual assault is. Very true. In IBLP's view, teaching children about these topics could corrupt them, so they're left completely unprepared. This lack of information creates a dangerous vulnerability as children have no tools to recognize abuse or speak out if something wrong happens. The Bible encourages protecting the innocent, Matthew 18:6, but this curriculum leaves children unaware and unprotected, which is also why it's very important to teach children, I feel, like the proper terminology
Yes.
about things. This
Mhm.
is your body. I had a situation recently. I'm not around a lot of kids, but I was around a lot of kids, and I don't think this was because their parents were doing anything wrong because they were like
Yeah, no.
children. But they started the little girl started like just touching right here, and I was like, so I was like, sweetheart, I was like, this part is just for me to touch, and yours is just for you to touch, and there's nobody else that should be touching you there, and you shouldn't be touching anybody else there. And I was just like, I know nothing bad was happening,
Yeah.
but I just felt in the very limited time that I was spending with a child, I was like, let me just throw that out there because a lot of kids aren't ever told that. And not that I don't think that their parents would have ever, mentioned it to them, but a lot of people don't realize that certain things are just for them and they can be manipulated into thinking otherwise. And being so sexually repressed is how you create monsters. Yeah. Okay. The IBLP the IBLP system isolates kids from real world experiences and teaches them to reject outside perspectives. If you question anything, you're either seen as a troublemaker or just not getting it. Children are raised in this bubble, completely unaware of the world around them. They grow up thinking that anything outside of the IBLP approved world is dangerous and sinful. And when they finally step out into the world, they're powerless to live with confidence in today's society. Children must undergo physical discipline in a misinterpretation of the spare the rod, spoil the child. IBLP teaches that physical discipline isn't just allowed, it's encouraged. Corporal punishment, often with a rod, is seen as the best way to ensure instant obedience and mold children into compliant, submissive adults.
Do they actually mean she actually means a rod, like a real rod?
Usually a switch.
A
Okay.
switch. And then
I know they had the rule
Well,
of
the
thumb.
Pearls, if you remember,
Debbie
Michael
and
and
Michael.
Debbie Pearl, who are the authors of To Train Up a Child, who did the blanket training and stuff like that.
What
That
about
was
blanket training a
so
little bit?
You told me a little bit about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Millennial, would you mind
They
explaining to viewers what
actually
it is?
recommended a certain size of PVC pipe for beating children in one of their books.
And that book, the person I brought up earlier, is a book that person owns that was found
Yeah.
by their child.
Mm. Are you serious?
I'm so serious. Millennial, would you mind explaining to the viewers what blanket training is a little bit?
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. Blanket training is putting a baby on a blanket and at the crawling stage, and then training them to stay on the blanket by physically hurting them every time they come off of it in order to teach them obedience at a very young age.
Mm. That's wild. I can't even comprehend even trying to think like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the quiverful people that I ever met back, a good 15, 20 years ago, all followed the Pearl's teachings of child rearing and discipline. It was very abusive. I don't trust
Yeah.
any of them.
Maybe that is something we could deep dive into one of these days, the pearls.
Yeah, and this is actually
I got info.
yeah, this
Same.
is kind of Alora's thing, is looking into this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so I told her, we're gonna get into this, and I'd like for her to,
Take an
educate
active
us.
role.
Educate us
Do
a little bit
something for
more.
once.
I'm sorry, stink bug, that your therapist didn't believe you.
It sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Why
stink
would
bug.
somebody do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my
Good
parents.
for you, CJB.
Yeah, my parents. You guys were very loving. There are a few
Thank you.
instances. Thank you, Cherokee girl. There are a few instances of religious trauma that did stick.
Yeah, I'm sure.
However, I'm thankful that I have an overall mostly positive experience. Again,
Inside our house,
inside our house. I mean,
for the
there's
most part.
been
But
for the most part, I don't have complaints.
yeah, and most of the things that happened were
Mhm.
things that were outside of our control and things like that.
There were a lot of people, even if it wasn't in an essay kind of way, that just took control and were very very belittling to people that they didn't have the right to be belittling to, or people there was a time where I was over something very minor, small, and stupid. I was pulled into a conference room at a college for only professors by the wife of a professor,
Which I wasn't.
did not inform my mother
Yeah.
whatsoever about it. And she basically told me what a piece of crap I was and how I was keeping her daughter from being able to succeed in the future over something very, very silly and minor
Very
that wasn't
minor.
even my fault, like, at all. And then after that, I was completely ostracized from, like, most of the kids in that church for, like, a long time. And,
Yeah.
like, it's stupid little things like that. It's like, if you even show, like, the slightest bit of I was just, hyperactive.
Mhm.
Very hyperactive. I understand I was a lot. But people thought I was, like,
Well
a bad influence
Mhm.
for being loud.
One time I was at a church camp. I think I was like, I want to say 9. And I was at a church camp in Arkansas, and like a week-long Bible church camp.
Mhm. Been there.
Um,
Mhm.
and they had very old church grounds, and then there was a little pastor house across the street where the kitchen was, and they would cook all of our meals. And we would line up to get our plates from that house.
Mhm.
And the pastor was standing there opening the door for us and then shutting the door, when they were at capacity, and waiting until they could open the door for a few more. And I just got up to the front, and he shut the door in front of me, and I was like laughing, making a joke, and I was like, "Oh, you shut the door on me, like I'm gonna take off with the family jewels or something." Like I'm gonna rob the house. I
Yeah.
was being a goofy kid. I thought I was making a joke. He looked at me really weird, but then nothing happened, and I went on in whenever he opened the door, and I got my breakfast. Later, his wife pulled me aside, the pastor's wife, and told me um that he had informed her that I said something sexual to him, and she needed to talk to me about it. And I was like, "What? I
What?
don't I what happened? I don't know what I could have said that would be like that." And she said, "He said you used the term family jewels." And I was like, "Yeah, he shut the door in front of me." And I was like, "Oh, do you think I'm gonna rob the place or something?" I was making a joke. Thought I was being funny. And she was like, "Do you know what family jewels means?" And I was like, "Jewelry that's been passed down in the family." And well, then she proceeded to explain to me that it means male parts. And like, I was still in trouble. Like, she did not,
That's
no matter
crazy.
how bewildered I was, like, I was in trouble because he felt uncomfortable. And I was
That
9
is
years old. I had no freaking clue. We didn't have TV. We hadn't had TV for years. I hadn't been in public school for years. Like, I didn't know nothing.
mhm.
If you feel sexually uncomfortable from something that a child says to you, that says a lot more about you than whatever the child possibly could have said.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because even if you would have 100% intentionally meant exactly what you said, in that context, that's not your fault. You know what I mean? It's never a child's fault. Even if they do something, it's not their fault. They're just most of the time
No, it's
mimicking
not. But
things.
in that instance, like, I had no idea the sexualized context of those words. Like, I was talking about the door shutting in front of me just as I was about to walk in. And,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now uh, I've been in I've been working with children and even youth, and if somebody said something and I knew they didn't realize what they were saying, I would just play it off as like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." Now, if I knew that they knew what they were saying, I'd, be a little silly or something, but
Although
not.
sometimes kids can say something because they've overheard it or they heard a little bit and they don't realize how bad it
Yeah, I
is
mean,
too.
yeah,
Not that that was
yeah,
your situation,
yeah,
but
you gauge the
yeah.
situation, but you definitely don't talk about that to a kid
Mm-mm.
that has no idea what the heck's going on.
Yeah, you don't need to teach. You don't need to teach them. You know what I mean?
Family
Grapefruits.
grapefruits.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, in that context, like, what the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
No, it's crazy.
That's
Like, they
insane.
basically introduced a sexual concept to me
They did.
Absolutely.
that I didn't know.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. A lot of religious sects are very sex obsessed, and
Mhm.
the way that they talk about things, even if you watch the Duggar show, I know you said you haven't really seen anything. I'm sure you've probably seen clips or a clip or two, but it's constant. Like it's sexual like deviancy almost. It's like all that a lot of like very, very ultra conservative people can think about is sex all the time. And that's a problem within itself.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said with my friend in the IBLP being told that the reason she can't show her elbows is because when you fold and bend the arm, the crease looks like boob cleavage.
Yeah.
If
And
that's
it's
not
like,
sex obsessed, I don't know what is.
yeah, the more you repress that sort of thing, the more curious people end up being as well. Um,
Mhm.
the more I think I can't have sex, I can't do this, I can't do that, the more I want to do that. Um,
Laura showed her elbow. Oh my God.
beep, 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 beep.
See
Anyway,
that cleavage there?
sorry, I got a
Sometimes
little too sexy over here.
sometimes the Sunday school teacher would get angry because a little child would ask an innocent question, nothing to do with anything sexual, and they make up some story and you go home and get beaten. Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
they're
Yeah.
even
so sex
imagine.
obsessed that I felt like the family jewels thing was them trying to make something sexual out of an innocent kid. What Kung Fu Panda is saying there, they're so sex obsessed sometimes, they will try and force a sexual situation when obviously the kid meant nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been pulled aside for different things I've done and not even thought about it. And like,
Mhm.
wow. And you just put that idea in my head. Thank you. Thank you. Now I know what the family jewels are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I can
Right,
think about
yeah.
it.
And it will forever be a trigger to them.
Yeah. Now every time I'm sure you hear the phrase family jewels in a TV show or movie or something, that's what you think of, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they just make that association in their head. And yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Mhm. And then, like, another thing, has anyone seen, have you guys seen when the Duggars went to a golf course and your phone going off?
No?
Oh, maybe there's just something going off in my head. Anyway, has anyone seen the episode or at least clips of the episode where the Duggars are at a golf course and Jim Bob is basically like humping Michelle from behind, and he's like getting all like
No.
up on her. He's like, "Look, this is what you can do when you're married."
No.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'll have to like find a clip or something like that. That's insane.
No, I never
Um,
saw that.
Something else I thought of, and this isn't related to what we're talking about at this current moment, but a few months ago, I like put some stuff in my notes app, and I was gonna do like I was gonna do like my own thing about like bus ministry in general. And um so like the way so bus ministry can probably be a decent thing, you know what I mean? Just busing people that don't have the means to get there.
Mhm.
Great idea. Fantastic. And I'm not going to play this video because it's like 8 minutes long, but I wrote like little like notes about like every video that I linked in here. And let's see. Some points that I wrote down from this person that was talking about his bus ministry. It says, entice the children with treats.
They did that.
Oh,
And then
good.
but then it also says outreach to low income neighborhoods isn't as valuable because they're more likely to move out and not be long term members of the church. So this particular person that was talking was, if I remember correctly, because it's been a couple months, they were a lot more concerned with the individual members that they could bring in that could bring prosperity to the church, who could donate to the church, who could donate their time, and they're a lot less concerned about just helping people. There's actually this person, a little unrelated but kind of related, that has been on TikTok, and I forgot who it is. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe I'll comment it later. But she's been calling different churches in her area, actually just different religious centers in general. Like she also called like a mosque and stuff, and like the mosque and a lot of people that were like more on the fringes of Christianity, or completely not associated with Christianity whatsoever. They were a lot more helpful. So she basically would call and ask if she could get formula for her baby, and she wanted to see which churches were willing to help her get formula and which ones kind of pushed her to the side. And like most of the Christian churches that she called either asked if she was a member, and if she wasn't a member, they wouldn't help. And or they just said, you got to do this, you got to do that. We're not going to help you with this. And I'm sorry, if churches aren't being taxed, they need to be using their money to help the disadvantaged.
Definitely.
That shouldn't be a politically charged statement. That shouldn't be a politically charged statement at all.
Well,
But-
no, and I mean the whole idea of Christianity
Yeah.
is giving to one another and being kind and
That's what it's
helping when
supposed to
there's
be.
a need.
But currently,
Yeah.
that's not what's being preached across the board.
I mean, wasn't that what Jesus turned over the tables for in the
Mhm.
temple? You've made my father's house into a den of merchants and thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have preachers like Joel
I mean, I don't believe the Bible, but I know a lot of it.
or Kenneth Copeland, the guy who
Oh
said
my
that he doesn't want
gosh.
to be he just had to buy Tyler Perry's private jet. It was just such a good deal. He couldn't pass it up, and he couldn't be in a tube full of demons on a regular plane with other people.
He is the demon, dude.
Have you
Well,
seen his
remember
eyes?
Joel Osteen locking the church to refugees of the storm?
Yeah, I remember that
They're
as well.
gonna destroy it. I mean, like, I get it. Like, growing up in Florida, we had like hurricane shelters and stuff like that. And luckily we never had to go to one. One time we evacuated out of state. But my school, I went to River Ridge High School, and they were used as a shelter one year. And I remember it was so bad that people shit all over the floor, and they had to clean up so much stuff. Like, it was bad.
Really?
So like, on one hand, yeah, I get it. Stuff happens. Shit literally happens.
On the other, that's
okay?
supposed to be your mission.
But
Like,
it's like, as a church,
what did Jesus say about that?
Yes,
Go clean it up.
You are
Yeah,
a servant
exactly.
of
Like,
God. Isn't that what
we're not
supposed
talking
to
about
do?
private corporations? That's the mission statement. is to
Exactly.
handle
Yeah.
that kind of shit.
Yeah. And I think the intent of churches not being taxed is so they can do more
It is.
for the community.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are better with it than others. I think the church that we spent the majority of my life in, on and off, I think they have like an avenue in which you can call and they'll
They
help turn
do.
your lights
Yeah.
on, and they'll do stuff like that.
Mhm.
Doesn't Kathy run that or something like that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mhm.
very good. Great. So glad that they do that. But so many people just take and take and take and take.
That is
And
true.
it's like, why does the pastor have a private jet or a Corvette in the parking lot with a special parking space that only the pastor can, freaking park in? It's like, now that you shouldn't be able to take care of your family and live, a reasonable life. But, there's a lot of arguments that maybe pastors shouldn't even be paid. It should just be a service that you do to your community.
Yeah, so what I have noticed is that the people who are paid to be in ministry usually work less than the volunteers. That's my experience. So,
Yeah,
Are
volunteers do it.
churches required to release their financials to the public?
well,
I mean,
I
it seems
don't
like not
know.
being tax free, that they would be required to show where the money's going.
That's something we should look into, honestly. I
Now-
might look into that a little bit.
So, like,
It might vary state to state as well.
so yeah, so as far as like any of the churches that we've ever gone to, they're just very forthright with their members. So like giving an accounting every quarter of what money is in the bank account, where it's going to, where it's designated.
But that's because you went to semi-responsible churches, I say semi because yikes. But there's so many churches that have no accountability whatsoever. Millennial, I went to church the other day for the first time in God knows how long. I went to a Unitarian church.
I
Very
used to go to a Unitarian church now and then in St. Louis.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I used to go to a Unitarian church now and then in St. Louis.
Text me what it was, because I have somebody that I know that used to go to a Unitarian church in St. Louis.
Gotcha.
But I liked some of their ideas. Some of them made me a little odd. To anyone who's just watching, because I guess I'm just talking at this point, but I have conflicting views. I feel like I generally believe in the Abrahamic God. I've had a lot of weird things happen in my life that just make me believe. But I am so anti the mainstream Christian values that are being falsely represented. I think that Jesus would have been a socialist hippie dude that thought of other people first 100% of the time, not a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of guy. You know what I mean? He just was like, to love others, like that's why a lot of people that aren't religious love the idea of Jesus, because the idea of what Jesus represents, whether you think he's a real person or the son of God or whatever, is a beautiful thing. But the things that Christians have warped him into,
they've corrupted it,
is the thing that turns so many people, even myself, away from Christianity. I don't know if Millennial has a thought process on that, but I feel like you might be kind of in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know in the chat where, I stand, where my stance is on all this, I'm not a Christian. I am an old Ozark Mountain hillbilly who believes in spirits and signs, basically.
Same though, I feel.
And I do believe in that while not believing in the Abrahamic God. I find the stories of Jesus really inspiring and cool. The rest of the Bible, not so much. I don't think it's that important, frankly.
And I do, but that's all right, because you know what?
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
doesn't matter to me.
But you guys are both good people.
Yeah.
And you found your way,
Yeah, like Amber and I have known these things about each other for quite some time. We have no problem. Like, we respect each other and it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have a full-on conversation about things she's experienced, and I'll be like, dang, I've never heard of that before. Or, wow, oh my gosh,
Yeah. And she tells me about the stuff that she's doing with her church and everything. And I'm like, that's some really good work.
churches can do some great things, but they can also
Mhm.
ruin
Yep.
so many people.
Mhm.
So many people, which is why I have such a problem with the idea of going to church. I'm getting there. Again, I tried, but it was very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have to pee real quick, but
Okay.
I'll let you guys have your little chit chat. But yeah, I would like to read a little bit more of this and finish up the forward at least.
Yeah, we at least need to do that. Yeah, my original plan was to like put the audio on like 1.5 or something like that and have something playing in the background going weird so we wouldn't get flagged or whatever, but
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I've told everybody, I've been in ministry, so this is an interesting topic for me just to hear, other people's perspectives and to know what other people have been through because there's so many different belief systems and churches and all of that
Oh,
stuff that
yeah.
yeah, I'm constantly appalled or amazed.
Especially whenever you start diving into like, the nitty-gritty of the individual different sects.
Mhm.
SECTS. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm saying the sex whenever I say that. But anyway, um, like the Duggars look a certain way.
Mhm.
Well, there's a whole bunch of different types that look that same way that have a lot of similar beliefs, but they differ here and there. Like, some look exactly like that and believe all the same things about what is necessary to get to heaven, except having a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
They'll use birth control, or they might believe all the same things except they also think you need to live on a compound and like there's just a lot of, or they might look that way but actually be very liberal, and that's just a leftover from how they were raised or something.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
it's wild. You can never totally judge the book by its cover. You have to get to know what people actually want to share, at least about what they believe. You can never fully know what someone thinks, but
No, yeah, and it's funny that you brought that up because I decided before the stream that I should at least go look up Amy Duggar because all I have reference for her is Crazy Amy, Crazy Cousin Amy, but they only said she was crazy because she was going against everything that they were doing, which was a good thing,
yeah.
you know? And so
Was
I
that what
went
they were
and
calling her in
watched.
the show?
Huh?
Were they calling her crazy cousin Amy in the show?
Yeah, that's literally what they called her.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so I wasn't sure with
Yeah.
that reference. Thank you.
Yeah, and so when I was watching today some of her interviews, I was just like, first of all, I was like, okay, where were you when I was at church? I found out she was born in 89 or something like
She would have been
that.
a child. When
Yeah,
you
so
were
she would have
around.
been much younger than me. So that's why I didn't see her. So that, that was one thing I was thinking. And then another one, I was like, okay, she just reminded me of so many women or girls, people that I was around when I lived in Springdale. Like
Mhm.
like her whole vibe, everything was just I was transported back to that time of the preppy 90s, Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah. I was transported back to that time and I almost got a little bit of PTSD from it.
I've heard different things about Amy. I don't think I have like a fully formed opinion on her or anything. I think some of the common criticisms would just be that she seems very passionate about things sometimes, and she does have an on again, off again friend that is also involved in the Gypsy verse. I'm not going to say
Or not.
anything more on that. You guys can do your own research.
Yeah.
So some people have kind of like conflicting feelings about that. But I also understand how you can grow up. Also, people think she's a little clout chasey. But anybody who's on the internet trying to get attention is clout chasey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that includes us. Well, no,
Give me that
Not
clip.
me.
we're still on the internet though, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand how some people can see it that way, but
Yeah.
you know, you grow up that way, especially finding out some of the stuff we'll get into probably in a couple episodes from now from the way things are going.
Yeah,
But,
I think this is going to be a multiple.
multi-part. Yeah. So
Well, just to, for anyone coming in late, I haven't watched any of the episodes, so I don't know anything about any of the characters. I'm more just providing commentary from the perspective of someone who grew up in a similar lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very interesting to hear your story and the things that you've gone through because first of all, all of my experience in church, I've never experienced the things that you've experienced. And
Yeah,
then
it's a microcosm.
yeah. And then to realize and know that that kind of stuff is actually out there and people are actually dealing with this stuff, it's like I just want to go save everybody.
I get it.
But yeah, Amy definitely reminds me of the quintessential girl raised in Springdale, Fayetteville. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's funny.
So I'm sending you something over Messenger, and will that pop up over here?
No.
If I want. Oh, you don't have Messenger.
Yeah, I do actually. Hold on.
Okay,
Hold on.
because there's something that I kind of want to play a little bit, but it's it's something we were talking about earlier. It's not really related, but is it not sending?
It's sending. It just hasn't sent.
It says you've read it already. That's crazy.
Oh, that's 'cause
okay.
I opened it, but it's not.
Maybe I could
opening.
even just look it up over here because it
Okay.
was pretty easy for me to find. But I kind of want to play this. Hopefully it'll play because the other day when we played something with Tony on here, it didn't play. Let's see. Sorry about that tapping. Okay. So, so we were just talking about the Duggar golf scene earlier.
Sure.
And I just feel like I got to show y'all this. Millennial, tell us if you can hear the audio on this because the other day we had some problems with that. Okay.
You
Okay.
have to click onto it.
No, yeah, I know.
Okay.
I was just. Come on.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Today, my parents are taking Ben
Okay, hold up. Let me just make sure it's all the way up. Okay. This is dumb. This is
and
dumb.
me
but-
on a mini golf double date.
Are you saying not to hold hands at all through your relationship?
Part of me was nervous, and part of me was excited, just being together with Jessa and also with her parents.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe as we get deeper into the relationship, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with holding hands. I think for Ben, that's probably more something he's like, oh, that'd be so sweet. But for me, I'm not like extremely like a touchy-feely type of person. So I was like, maybe not like right now. Maybe later.
Well, I tell you what, just let me know before you change your plan, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I think it's important to kind of talk about the boundaries we set for ourselves, with the parents, and then they can kind of help us stay accountable with it. So.
Perfect. Yeah, there it goes. Oh, my, almost.
Wow, you are really good at this game.
Hey, is it turning on?
Public display of affection.
Michelle and I love to kiss. We love to hug.
You bend your knees a little bit like this. Bend your knees a little bit.
And we do that in
Oh
front of our
my
kids.
God.
And I think it's important for our kids to understand that mommy and daddy love each other.
You guys watch this. Don't try this at home. Okay. It's after you're married. Okay, you ready?
I think he just teases the ones that are in a courtship to just kind of tell him this is what you've got to look forward to. But you can't do this yet.
What have y'all thought?
Oh,
about
yeah.
kissing?
Everybody wants
I think
that.
it's something that's
So
Yeah, that's the point. Sorry, that was just random and stupid, but I was thinking about that earlier and it was just living rent free in my mind. This is what you can do later.
I
This
just
is what you can do.
I don't know. It's so surreal to like actually look at their faces because they look exactly the same as when I was 16.
Well, I mean, this was also 20 years ago well, maybe not 20, like 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, and so when I'm looking at them, it's like, oh,
Right.
And then also going to that church and them living there, like he was in politics at that time too. And so he was running for politics and had all his signs up around the church, and Oliver North was speaking at that time too. It was like really crazy.
So Jim Bob, the most recent election that he ran for that I recall was the year that Josh Duggar was going through his legal proceedings with the CSAM charges. So literally while this was going on, he's going to the courthouse and talking to standing up for his son running for office. I don't remember what it was for.
I
It was
know it
something
was
more minor. It wasn't like, the governor or anything.
I know back
but-
in the day, like the first one he went for was like alderman or something like that. I think that's what the signs
like my
were.
aunt.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I believe he was going for alderman, but yeah, I just remember that. So okay, so let's
Yeah, I was
read a
gonna say, I
little
don't
bit
think
more
there's too much more. I think this time we'll just finish on the
forward.
But
Okay.
I want to see what else I can. Sorry, I gotta make sure my Kindle's. There we go. Okay. I'm just gonna start off from this paragraph, and hopefully it's not something I read before, but if it is, tough shit. Okay. The IBLP system isolates kids from real world experiences and teaches them to reject outside perspectives. If you question anything, you're either seen as a troublemaker or you're just not getting it. Children are raised in this bubble, completely unaware of the world around them. They grow up thinking that anything outside of the IBLP approved world is dangerous and sinful. And when they finally step out into the world, they're powerless to live with confidence in today's society. Children must undergo physical discipline and a misinterpretation of spare the rod, spoil the child. IBLP teaches that physical discipline isn't just allowed, it's encouraged. Corporal punishment, often with a rod, is seen as the best way to ensure instant obedience and mold children into compliant, submissive adults. The Bible does mention discipline, Proverbs 13:24. But the IBLP's interpretation of it's harsh and unwavering. They treat physical punishment as a godly method to bend a child to the parent's will, often without regard for the child's mental or emotional well-being. This approach not only breaks the child's spirit, but it also damages the parent-child bond, replacing trust with fear. Discipline should be about teaching and guiding, not instilling terror. You can parent successfully in a way that never involves physical harm. Well, I got my ass beat. But
Well, she deserved it. Try raising this girl.
Debatable. Okay. Children. I think the last time I got spanking was probably when I was like 15 or 16. That's insane. And then I told my dad, I was like, I don't think it's appropriate for you to do that anymore. And so then I got the corner. And that corner was my best friend until I was like 17, until I was 18, and I couldn't go in it anymore.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It wasn't from you. It was from Dad.
Well, that was the time I was in the bed.
She was in the bed, but at Adonis, I was well acquainted with that corner right next to the door. Yes, I was.
Hey, it's better than anything else.
Guys, real quick, the last time I got my phone taken away, I was 19 years old.
Hey, I still pay the bill. So shut up.
I was still 19 years old, and Dad went through all of my shit, and he found stuff he didn't want to see. And then you went through other shit, and you found stuff you really didn't want to see. Don't go through a 19-year-old's phone. Anyway. Temptation is harsh and unwavering. They treat. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at what I'm reading.
Sorry.
They treat physical punishment as a godly method to bend a child to the parent's will, often without regard to the child's mental or emotional well-being. This approach not only breaks a child's spirit, but also. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments.
She can bust me out real big, but I could bust her out too.
The things you could bust me out for are just stupid things. Never mind. Anyway. Discipline should be about teaching and guiding, not instilling terror. Agreed. You can parent successfully in a way that never involves physical harm. Sorry, I'm just thinking about that fucking corner. I'm sorry.
Like Blair
was-
Witch style.
It was pretty comical seeing her stand in the corner like that. It's actually making me cry.
I think when you guys took my phone away at 19, Dad might have actually made me stand in the corner for a couple minutes.
Girl, I would have ran away.
She has it too good.
I moved away the next year, and it was the worst fucking mistake I ever made in my life. Guys, I literally have a freaking eviction in my name because I went away to try to save people. Anyway.
You got me crying.
Sorry, I'm not trying to laugh.
sorry.
We're reading serious stuff, but I'm just thinking about that damn corner. I can still remember the smell of the pain. I remember when y'all would yell at me when I was a kid, I would disassociate. I would just think about something else. I'd be in like a different world.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Take a drink.
My eyes are watering.
I'm
so
sorry,
bad.
y'all.
Oh. Y'all have no idea. Raising Laura. Oh my gosh.
I actually told my coworkers about ET the other day. And to anyone who wasn't watching the other day, my mom used to have to blindfold me when we would go through Blockbuster because I was so afraid of seeing ET on X.
Well, not only that, but there was a
movie theater that was right next to my school too.
And every morning she would freak out every time we drove by the damn movie theater.
But you know what? This dude that I work with, I told him about the ET thing, and we did a potluck on Friday. So he was like, you know what? He's like, when I was a kid, nobody told me that, or nobody told anybody this, and I'm putting this on the podcast. I'm sorry, my homie, but he goes, I was afraid of Abraham Lincoln. Like he's black too, so I'm like,
You guys want to hear something funny?
yeah.
So in the evangelical religion I was raised in, we were taught that Catholics were worse than Satanists.
Really?
And my sister was so deathly afraid of Catholics that, like, if organ music came on the radio or something, she'd freak out. She's like, "Oh, it's Catholic music!" And like, she saw a priest one time, and she about had a panic attack. And so, at like 17, when I left home and I was being all rebellious, like, I thought it was really like wild and crazy to wear Gothic Catholic crosses. And people were like, "Oh, wow, you're a serious Christian." I'm like, "What? No."
I got a bunch of crosses on right now. I got a bunch of crosses and an Ethel. Yeah, you can see it, an Ethel Cain shirt, which is like
Its own whole thing.
so funny. Do you know who Ethel Cain is?
No, I don't.
Okay, she's a singer. But that's not her real name. Her real name's Hayden. But her most famous album, I'm only bringing this up because it partially kind of leads into the Duggar thing, but then it also partially goes like hard left turn. But so she's a trans woman actually, but her
I didn't
character,
realize that.
yeah, she is. But her character isn't a trans woman. She's just, a cis woman. But so her most famous album, honestly, Millennial, you should listen to it. I think you would vibe with it.
Cool.
It's kind of like folky, but it's called Preacher's Daughter. And her father actually was a deacon in the church. I don't remember what denomination, and it was in like the Panhandle of Florida. And it's very, I think she even said like she like had a VCR until she was like 7 or 8, and she's like my age, maybe like a year or two older. And I'm 25. Yeah. Anyway, so it's basically about how this girl Ethel Cain was a preacher's daughter, and she was being sexually abused by her father. And how she basically, her father passed away, and she ended up taking over the church for her father for a little bit, but then she ended up falling in love with this man, and they had a whole thing going on, and she doesn't fully explain what happened between her and the man, but she did something and then he left her. And then she went and she found love in a bunch of random places, and she would get beat and she would have all this bad stuff happen to her. But then she met this man who, I think it was Isaiah that she met, and he kidnapped her. And he actually, but she had Stockholm syndrome, so she felt like she was in love with him. But he kidnapped her and then he pimped her out. And then he
Oh my
killed
God.
her and ate her, cannibalized
Oh my
her.
God.
It's all fake.
It's well, yeah, obviously it's a
Oh,
concept
okay.
album,
Good God.
but it's a very interesting, it's a very beautiful, if you don't know the story behind it and you just listen to it, it's like, wow, this is
Uh-huh.
really, but it's a beautiful, I don't know why I brought any of this up, but it kind of reminds me
You're
of
good.
Josh Duggar of it all.
I've got to step away for just a minute. I'm going to mute myself. I'll be back in just a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me try and finish a little
Yeah,
bit of
let's
this and
finish
stop talking about Ethel
this.
Kane. I'm gonna go see
I was like,
Ethel.
where's this going?
Sorry, I was just, again, it reminded me like the abuse of a church and the weird stuff that happens in
No,
it.
I
Not
get it.
every
You're all
church,
good.
obviously, but just made me think of that. My bad. Shout out to Ethel Kane. I know you're never gonna see this, but I'm gonna go to her concert in April. But I was waiting in line for like 15 minutes in the queue, and I still ended up with seats up top. I wanted floor seats.
Read the forward.
Anyway, children learn obedience best through blanket training, punishment by physical force. Here's what you need to hear. One of the most heartbreaking parts of IBLP's teachings is something called blanket training. Now, this isn't just about training a child to sit on a blanket, as some may think. It's about using physical force to control a baby or toddler. Parents place their child on a blanket, and whenever the child tries to move off of it, they're spanked. The idea that the child must learn obedience by being punished for their natural behavior, like, crawling away. This is messed up on so many levels. First, it teaches children to fear the parents, not love and trust them. Second, it breaks the child's ability to trust their own instincts, creating confusion and emotional damage. It's abuse. And yet, because it's wrapped in the guise of training, IBLP insists that it's the right way to raise children. But anyone who has ever worked with children or understands child development knows this approach doesn't foster obedience, but rather breaks their spirit and creates deep emotional scars. And let's not forget the parents who think that they're doing the right thing, but are in reality following a script that doesn't line up with biblical love. Daughters are expected to have their courtship overseen by both sets of parents in godly matchmaking. Daughters are discouraged from dreaming about falling in love or meeting someone organically. In this world, the idea of love is replaced with duty, and marriage becomes a family arranged transaction rather than genuine partnership based on mutual affection. A typical IBLB courtship involves no hand-holding, no private conversations, and absolutely no flirting. After all, flirting is seen as ungodly, as though showing a hint of attraction to someone is akin to moral failure. Even smiling too long at someone or winking could be seen as a red flag. Courting couples are kept under the watchful eyes of parents or an appointed chaperone, and any sign of genuine chemistry or emotional connection gets quashed as temptation. By stripping courtship of romance, IBLP ensures that young people go into marriage with minimal emotional intimacy, which can lead to a marriage that feels more like a partnership in a business arrangement than a loving bond.
So going back to the Victorian era.
Yeah. But doesn't the Bible say love is a gift? 1 Corinthians 13:13. Somehow the romantic parts of the Bible are entirely skipped over in IBLP. Song of Solomon. Yeah. Her breasts were as sweet as honey.
I remember in the 80s and 90s,
she's like, I remember Song of Solomon.
All the teen and preteen boys wanted to read Song of Solomon all the time in the church.
Yeah, I remember even in like 5th grade, we're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it says breasts. Ooh, beeps.
Yes. Also joy, yes, you see how that was overly sexualized. It's like, I don't want to see my dad hump my mother while we're mini golfing. I'm glad that they love each
Yeah,
other.
that was
I'm
gross.
I'm so glad that you guys have a healthy relationship, and whatever you guys do behind closed doors is fucking great. But I
Don't
don't
do it
want
in
to
front
see
of me.
it. I don't want to see it.
No.
It's all very proper and well stifling. Where the chance for these young people to actually get to know each other, or where's the chance for these young people to actually get to know each other? It's ironic too, because IBLP emphasizes self control, yet they never let their young people practice it. How can you build self control when you've always been shielded from situations that would actually help you develop it? This approach breeds obedience and submission, leaving no room for choice. In the end, the daughter's dad transfers his authority to the new husband after what's called the umbrella of authority. As long as the wife has protection from her spouse or father, she will thrive in life. Interracial relationships are seriously frowned upon.
Wow.
The only people
Ugh.
I've ever married are the only two people I've ever almost married. It was interracial. Um, One of the most painful teachings in IBLP is a discouragement, sometimes outright ban on interracial relationships. People are told to stay within their own kind. But God makes it clear that he looks at the heart, not at the skin color. 1 Samuel 16:7. Jesus showed us how to cross cultural and social boundaries to share God's love with everyone. Think of the Samaritan woman at the well, John 4, a powerful story of how Jesus breaking down racial and cultural barriers. Galatians 3:28 reminds us that in Christ there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, nor is there male or female. Sorry, I lost my fucking thing. I was trying to make a fucking political point. Okay, where did I go? You are simply one in Jesus Christ. There is simply no biblical basis for restricting relationships by race. God's kingdom is diverse, filled with people from every tribe, language, and nation. Revelation 7:9. So where is the love in saying that people can't be together because of color of their skin or because of the color of their skin? It's about as unchristlike as you can get.
I didn't know they thought that way either.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I saw a very bad domestic dispute last night, and part of it was someone saying that his mom disowned him for marrying a white woman, which was like crazy
Oh,
that
man,
we're in
that sucks.
2025 and that's still like a factor. If there is ever a need for counseling, it must be provided by an IBLP elder member. Professional counselors are considered unsafe and could ruin a person's potential to serve the Lord, such that their relationship with them can never be the same. All outside counseling, especially anything resembling therapy from licensed professionals, isn't just discouraged, it's deemed dangerous and disobedient. The IBLP system teaches that the worldly wisdom of psychologists or trauma specialists is rooted in rebellion against God. In IBLP, counseling becomes a form of correction that points at faults and acknowledges pain. People are told to search their hearts for hidden sin. What did I do to make a man or my brother stumble? To be as godly as possible, they must submit more and forgive faster. The victims smile, offer mercy, and pardon the sin. Yes, the Bible teaches us to forgive 70 times 7, but forgiveness doesn't eliminate justice. That's a big point. Incest isn't just a sin, it's a criminal act.
I agree.
Unfortunately, many sufferers within IBLP keep living with abusers in the same household. In this environment, image is everything. The goal isn't really about healing, but rather about silence. Keep the family intact, avoid shame, don't let the truth spread beyond the walls of home, church, or family camp. Also, Millennial, I know you might have to go. I just wanted to let you get going real quick. And just
I think we only have a
say
few
love
more
and
minutes.
goodbye, but it's okay if you need to get going real quick.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, 1970, and stepson just got home, so need to drop off. But thank you so much for having me, and I've really enjoyed the conversation and y'all and everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for some of the insight that you've provided because while we've done the Christian thing, we haven't done what you've done or
Mhm.
seen the things that you've seen. So
Mhm.
I feel like you've provided helpful insight. And if you want to come on for one of these other episodes that we're going to do, it'd be cool.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely. And I'll get the book so I can be more prepared too. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm reading through this right now. So I don't know what's up, but much love. Thank you so much for
Have a blessed
coming in.
night.
You're welcome. Have a good night, y'all, and y'all in chat.
Yeah. Thanks,
Good
Millennial.
night.
Bye.
I think we're probably almost done. Oh,
Amber, did you know that Amy's father is not Terry Jordan? I don't even know who Terry Jordan is.
I don't know who Terry Jordan is, but I don't think that's the name. Oh, no, I don't even. Never mind. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of grandfather. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I know
I'm not
that
sure, Sharon.
I know she was talking about how maybe it's in the book. I'm assuming it's in the book. I don't think she said anything in like an interview, but I heard someone say something about how she somewhat recently, I think maybe after her grandmother passed away, I think that she offered a home to her mother because Jim Bob forced her to get out of her mother's house. Like
Really?
forced Deanna to get out of Mary's house within I think 7 to 9 days or something.
What?
Showed no emotion. And again, this is just from what I'm remembering from hearing. But she offered her mother a home, but only under the pretense of if she left her husband. And I don't know if that's her biological father or her stepfather or what.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
if I remember correctly, that's what I heard the other day.
Okay, so that might be what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
Sharon.
But we haven't dug too much into that. I knew a little bit. I know about the Duggars. I know quite a few things
How
about
many
the
more
Duggars,
pages
but,
do we have of this?
how do I fucking sorry. No.
You know what? Let's just stop here and then we'll pick
Yeah.
up.
So let me get to the next
Yeah,
page is like
yeah, go
that.
ahead.
So we'll get there because
Yeah.
we've already been going for almost 2 hours. Sorry guys that we didn't get that far. But we'll get maybe next time we'll read a little bit more. But
Mhm.
there's some things that you need to talk about. You know what I mean? And we can't just be completely ripping off her content. You know what I mean? You got to add a little bit of something, a
Yeah.
little bit of flair.
I agree.
Okay. So in IBLP, counseling becomes a form of correction that points at faults and acknowledges pain. People are told to search their hearts for hidden sin. What did I do to make a man or my brother stumble? To be as godly as possible, they must submit more and forgive faster. The victims must smile, offer mercy, and pardon the sin. Yes. Yes, the Bible tells us to forgive 70 times 7, but forgiveness doesn't eliminate justice. Incest isn't just a sin, it's a criminal act. Unfortunately, many sufferers with an IBLP keep living with abusers in the same household. In this environment, image is everything. The goal isn't really about healing, but rather about silence. Keep the family intact, avoid shame, don't let the truth spread beyond the walls of the home, church, or family camp. Who knows? However, what kind of counseling advice will be given if the person being counseled isn't reporting emotional or physical abuse? So that is. Oh, no.
What did I do to make the man stumble? Shake my head. Yeah. I mean, that's
how it's literally looked at. And it's
Yeah.
not even just the IBLP. There's a lot of stuff. Ooh.
Okay.
Even just in mainstream Christianity. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff even in like mainstream Christianity where women are held a lot more accountable than men are.
Mm-hmm.
Women being sexually promiscuous is a lot more of a taboo than men.
Mm-hmm. It always has
because,
been.
Even in the Duggars,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories about how some of the men would sneak off with women and they do whatever people do. And that's way different than the women even just front hugging a man. They do side hugs after you're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine living in a world where I can't hold hands or give a front hug to a man that I'm with. I was raised in a certain way where, even though my mama was pregnant with me when they got married, I had a purity ring as a child.
Yes, I was pregnant when I got married.
But that's okay. Anyway. But also, like, after being an adult, okay, I've made a lot of decisions that I probably shouldn't have made. I've done a lot of stupid stuff. But I still think you need to test drive the vehicle before you buy. And that keeps you safe, and that keeps you, like, seriously, that keeps you in, like, a mindset where, like, you actually know what's going on. You're not being manipulated. You don't have, like, a man forcing you to be a part of some system. You know what I mean? And obviously there's still cracks. Obviously, even if you do that, divorce is still like 50% of freaking marriages nowadays. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But men and women should be held to the same standards.
I agree.
With any religion or lack of religion, whether you think something's bad or okay. There shouldn't be a difference between what is socially acceptable for a man versus what's socially acceptable for a woman.
I agree. And we'll get more into what Amy has said about her family, but so far she's starting off really well, laying down a foundation. And so I'm excited. Well, not excited. I'm interested to see what she says next.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining in. I know it's kind of a small crowd tonight, but we appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you for coming on this journey with me. Like I said in my community post, I wanted to go over this with everybody together. That way I don't have to absorb the shock on my own. So thank you for being here. And next time we will come back and cover the next chapter or whatever's next.
The rest of the forward and maybe chapter 1.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get more of that done.
Sorry we yapped a little bit, but it's important. We want to add our own commentary to whatever we're reading. And then also on top of that, Millennial has some experiences, maybe not with the IBLP, but with things kind of adjacent
Very
to that.
similar.
And while there have been some pieces of crap in our orbit, it doesn't reflect the whole of what people have always represented.
I agree.
Although with the shifting political tides within the last decade, a lot of people that might have been a certain way 20 years ago are now kind of falling in line with the things that are being preached by people that honestly aren't even living up to what Jesus says.
No, I agree. And that happens, everywhere and every generation. And honestly, it's
very, very strongly this generation, though. It's very different.
That's what you think, but yeah. But thank you, everybody, for being here. All of the people who joined us, we really appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us. I'm doing this for cognitive therapy, and this is just one more episode where I learn along with you guys. So thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a very blessed evening or whenever you're watching this, and that you please go out and do something to better the world and better your community around you. Bye, everybody. Blessings.
Yes.
Justice Jackson, they captured Herman Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm gonna put Goring on trial.
Never escapes the hangman's noose.
Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goring has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, now playing only in theaters. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.